The book of Matthew, chapter 13. Yeshua teaches in parables. Now, a lot of people really have a hard time with these parables. A lot of it has to do with the original languages that they came in. Translations are hard. You know, if you speak any other language, like I speak Spanish, you know that some words just can't be translated exactly into English and vice versa. You just have to take it with a grain of salt. But the messages are very, very clear. Also, Yeshua is very clear in stating that there are only specific people on this planet who are capable of understanding the messages, the encrypted messages that the Father was sending out through him. Yeshua says some things very, very, very boldly, but then a lot of things he says in cryptic code, parables. Only some people are going to understand it. And that's just the truth of it, okay? It's hard because some people we love very, very much will never get it. But that's part of accepting God for what he is. Not everybody is meant to be saved. Not everybody chooses to be saved. It is what it is. But here we go. That day Yeshua went out of the house and was sitting by the sea. A bunch of crowds gathered to him, so he got into a boat and he sat down, and as the whole crowd was standing on the beach, he began to speak this parable to them. Behold, the sower went out to sow, and as he sowed, some seeds fell behind the road, and the birds came and ate them up. Others fell in the rocky places where they did not have much soil, and immediately they sprang up, because they had no depth of soil. But when the sun had risen, they were scorched. Because they had no root, they withered away. Others fell among the thorns, and the thorns came up and choked them out. And others fell on good soil, and yielded a crop, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. He who has ears, let him hear. The explanation. And the disciples came to him. Why do you speak to them in parables? Yeshua answered them. To you it has been granted to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it has not been granted. As I was just saying, to some people it is, and to some people it isn't. Okay? He just reaffirms that right there. For whoever has, to him more shall be given, and he will have an abundance. But whoever does not have, even what he does have shall be taken away from him. Therefore I speak to them in parables, because while seeing they do not see, and while hearing they do not hear, nor do they understand. Let's talk about that. What does he mean? Okay? For those who have, more will be given. To those who do not have, even what they do have will be taken away from them. So that means separation of people. Some people are going to kind of believe, but they're not going to go all the way. Okay? Some people believe as much as they possibly can. And to those people, he's going to give more too. But to the people who kind of believe, or even the people who don't believe at all, it's just going to be removed from them. So what is he saying is through these parables were designed to separate people. So as he's standing there or sitting there in that boat and he's speaking to all these people, 30% of those people are going to understand and they're going to continue to follow him. And the other 70% are going to be like, what's this guy talking about? He's crazy. I'm out of here. Okay? So that's what the parable does. So to those who have, more will be given. So to, like he said, to the people who do understand, they're going to continue to follow him. And as they continue to follow him, he's going to give them more knowledge, more heart, more everything, more power, more discernment. You got it? More blessing. Okay? And to those who don't, they're gone. All right? The apostles asked him what that stuff means. And he's saying, look, to you guys, it's been granted to understand these things, but to them, it has not. So he's just reaffirming what I just said. Okay, not everybody is blessed with that. Okay. In their case, the prophecy of Isaiah, once again, another prophecy of Isaiah is being fulfilled, which says, you will keep on hearing, but will not understand. You will keep on seeing, but will not perceive. For the heart of this people has become dull. With their ears, they scarcely hear, and they have closed their eyes. Otherwise, they would see with their eyes and hear with their ears, and understand with their hearts, and return, and I would heal them. But blessed are your eyes because they see, and your ears because they hear. For truly I say to you that many prophets and righteous men desired to see what you see and did not see it, and to hear what you have heard and did not hear it. So the prophecy is basically saying, in Isaiah's time, he's foreseeing the future that God keeps on explaining, keeps on telling people, and they just don't get it. Even though they're seeing all these miracles that he's performing and they're hearing all of his amazing teachings and words, they're not understanding, they're not perceiving. Okay, their heart doesn't get it. All right. But to the apostles and to those who were chosen, yes, they do get it. All right. And then he brings up a reference from the past. Many, many prophets and people from the beginning of time have wished to see even the slightest bit of a miracle of the miracles that you guys have seen and didn't see it, but yet they still believed. The sower explained. Hear then the parable of the sower. When anyone hears the word of the kingdom and does not understand it, the evil one comes and snatches away what has been sown in his heart. This is the one on whom the seed was sown beside the road. The one on whom the seed was sown on the rocky places, this is the man who hears the word and immediately receives it with joy. Yet he has no firm root in himself, but is only temporary, and when affliction or persecution arises because of the word, immediately he falls away. And the one on whom the seed was sown among the thorns, this is the man who hears the word, and the worry of the world and the deceitfulness of wealth choke the word, and it becomes unfruitful. And the one on whom the seed was sown on good soil, this is the man who hears the word and understands it, who indeed bears fruit and brings forth some 100-fold, some 60, and some 30. So basically, he's explaining the previous parable word by word, phrase by phrase. Okay, so you just have to read the parable and then read that one side by side, and you'll see exactly what happens. And he explains what it is. So a lot of people, when they get the word of God, they have different reactions. Some people, they doesn't react at all. It dies as soon as the seed hits them. It just dies. It's over. Okay. Others, they hear the word, they hear the blessings, they're super happy, they get super stoked, and they run around, oh, Jesus, 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 Yeshua, this and that, right? But as soon as hard times hit, and as soon as they start getting persecuted because of the belief in Yeshua, they give it up. It goes away, okay? And the one that falls on good soil, the seed that falls on good soil, that good soil is you, the good believer, the heart of the good person. The seed is obviously his word, okay? It falls, it grows, we bear fruit 100-fold, some of us 60, some of us 10, but we bear good fruit, okay? Tares among wheat. Yeshua presented another parable to them, saying, the kingdom of heaven may be compared to a man who sowed good seed in his field. But while his men were sleeping, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went away. But when the wheat sprouted and bore grain, then the tares became evident also. The slaves of the landowner came and said to him, Sir, did you not sow good seed in your field? How does it then have tares? And he said to them, An enemy has done this. The slaves said to him, Do you want us then to go out into the field and gather them up? But he said, No. For while you are gathering up the tares, you may uproot the wheat with them. Pay attention to that, okay? Allow both to grow together until the time of the harvest. And in the time of the harvest, I will say to the reapers, First gather up the tares and bind them in bundles to burn them up, but gather up the wheat into my barn. Okay? That one's pretty self-explanatory too. So the enemy he's referring to, the field is the earth, our existence, this realm, whatever you want to call it. Okay? The seeds of wheat are us. Okay? Now the tare is sin, evil, and even bad people. Okay? So the enemy snuck into God's realm, God's field, and he planted tares among the seed, among us. Okay? Now, as we are growing, the tares grow with us. The sin grows with us. The evil grows with us. The bad people grow with us. So he's referring basically to existence in its entirety here. And he's saying, like, basically, his servants are the angels, and they're like, whoa, what's going on here, you know? Didn't you plant good seed? Why is all this evil popping up? Do you want us to go out there and just, tear it all up together and just restart over? In other words, should we just destroy the earth and just restart everything? And the Father says, no. Let them grow together. For as they grow together, then I will have you servants go out and gather up all of the sin, gather up all of the nastiness, all of the evil, which is basically what Yeshua has done through his sacrifice, okay? Gathered up all the tares, and they will be bound and tossed into the fire, all right? all of the good crop in wheat that has grown will be gathered into his barn. His barn is his Father's house. Okay? So, it's basically talking about our entire existence in this one little parable. Okay? So think about it. The mustard seed. He presented another parable to them, saying, "The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, which a man took and sowed in his field. And this is smaller than all other seeds, but when it is full grown, it is larger than the garden plants and becomes a tree, so that the birds of the air come and nest in its branches." All right? The kingdom of God is like a seed. When you plant that seed into somebody's heart, it grows bigger. It grows so much bigger than we can possibly imagine. And he's using the tree as a reference. It starts out as the smallest seed of the field, and it grows into the biggest tree of the garden, so big that all of the birds come and rest in it. So his seed within us, the salvation, his teachings, his commandments, planted in our hearts, if we allow it to grow, will become so huge that others will come and rest in its greatness. That greatness is the glory of the Father. The leaven. He spoke another parable to them. "The kingdom of heaven is like leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 pecks of flour until it was all leavened." All these things Yeshua spoke to the crowds in parables, and he did not speak to them without a parable. This was to fulfill what was spoken through the prophet. "I will open my mouth in parables. I will utter things hidden since the foundation of the world." Now let's talk about the leaven. "The kingdom of heaven is like leaven, which a woman hid in 3 pecks of flour until it was all leavened." So the kingdom of heaven starts out, once again, kind of like the mustard seed, very, very small. But then it turns, it overpowers, it overcomes until everything is consumed by it. So there's no stopping the kingdom of heaven. The tares explained. Then he left the crowds and went into the house, and his disciples came to him and said, "Explain to us the parable of the tares of the field." I gave you a little version of my explanation, but here is the master's explanation. And he said, "The one who sows the good seed is the Son of Man, and the field is the world. And as for the good seed, these are the sons of the kingdom, and the tares are the sons of the evil one. And the enemy who sowed them is the devil. And the harvest is the end of the age, and the reapers are angels. So just as the tares are gathered up and burned with fire, so shall it be at the end of the age. The Son of Man will send forth his angels, and they will gather out of his kingdom all stumbling blocks and those who commit lawlessness, and will throw them into the furnace of fire. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous will shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Who has ears, let him hear." Hidden treasure. "The kingdom of heaven is like a treasure hidden in the field, which a man found and hid again. And from joy over it, he goes and sells all that he has and buys that field." So the explanation to that one is that when you find the kingdom of heaven, when you find Yeshua, you do anything for Yeshua. You don't continue to live a life of whatever you were living before. You do anything. You even go and sell your house so that you can pursue Yeshua. And that ties into another portion here where the rich man, the rich ruler, came to him and was like, "What can I do?" And he's like, "Give away everything that you have and come and follow me." Right? So the kingdom of heaven is like a treasure that a man found in a field. He loved it so much that he hid it again and kept it safe. So then he went and made all the sacrifices in his life, including selling everything that he owned, so that he could buy that field to have that kingdom of heaven. A dragnet. "Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a dragnet cast into the sea, and a gathering of fish of every kind. And when it is filled, they drew it up on the beach, and they sat down and gathered the good fish into the containers, but the bad they threw away. So it will be at the end of the age. The angels will come forth and take out the wicked from among the righteous and throw them into the furnace of fire. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Have you understood all these things?" And they said to him, "Yes." So the tares, okay? He's talking about the tares. He's talking about the fish, the dragnet. He's throwing it in the sea. He didn't say he was only catching specific fish. He said it was to gather all fish. And when he brings that net up onto the shore, his servants will separate the bad fish from the good. Now, in these verses, you'll see at the end, he says, in that place, after he talks about throwing them into the fire, he says, in that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Imagine what that means. Think about it for a little while, and you'll kind of get a picture of what eternity would be like without him. And therefore, Yeshua said, therefore, every scribe who has become a disciple of the kingdom of heaven is like the head of a household who brings out of his treasure things new and old. So he's basically saying anyone who decides to follow the kingdom of heaven becomes a ruler of his own household in some way, shape, or form. I don't mean like in any way to contend with the Almighty or anything like that. I just mean that he puts you in charge. If you're one of his followers, he's putting you in charge. And in your treasure, you have things new and old. So you have new revelations that he's given to you. That is your treasure, the gifts that he gives to you. And you have revelations and treasures of miracles in the past, things that he has done for you, your testimony. You know what I mean? So it ties together. Yeshua revisits Nazareth. When Yeshua had finished these parables, he departed from there. He came to his hometown and began teaching them in their synagogue, so that they were astonished and said, where did this man get this wisdom and these miraculous powers? Is this not the carpenter's son? Is not his mother called Mary, and his brothers James, Joseph, Simon, and Judas? And his sisters, are they not all with us? Where then did this man get all of these things? And they took offense at him. But Yeshua said to them, a prophet is not without honor except in his own hometown and in his own household. And he did not do many miracles there because of their disbelief. That is something that remains to be true. Wherever you grow up, you're going to have a reputation for whatever it was that you did before, or whoever your family members are, whatever the case may be. They rarely truly know who you are. And this is an example. Yeshua is kind of letting us know that your own hometown, especially if you were called into service, is probably someplace that you don't really want to teach. Okay? Now, the majority of us do not have a sinless life. I mean, none of us have a sinless life like Yeshua did. They didn't accept him in his own hometown, even though he performed miracles there and he did all these things, because they couldn't get their minds past the fact that he wasn't truly Joseph's son. He was actually the son of the Most High. They couldn't understand that. So he kind of let it be. But he also gave all of us a warning in the future of things that we would have to deal with. So when it comes to your own hometown, for the most part, let it be. Like he said, a prophet is not without honor except in his own hometown and amongst his own people in his own household.